Hey guys, it's Miss Gruman here. I went ahead and I'm using different data, but I'm going to go ahead and go through the approach of how to make the graphs for your SuperTaster lab. So take a moment, go ahead and pause the video and go, set up your Excel sheet so now it looks like this. Notate that I'm going to be working in from 1995 to 2005 data, so that is different from yours. So make sure that you're adjusting based on what you have, but again, it's going to be the same exact process. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom, and we'll start with how to calculate the average. So the first thing that I wanted to show you guys is that we can do like totaling. So Excel's pretty nice for us, so it'll allow us to take like the sums. So I want to figure out how many people I'm working with within the sample size. So I just hit sum equals and then dragged up the three numbers. So I'm going to be working with a sample size, or n, equals 66. So now let's go ahead and start with average. So I am in cell H2 and I'm going to hit equals average. So I'm going to scroll down where it says the word average and double click that. And my genotype for this is homozygous dominant. So I'm going to be looking for anything associated with HD for the fungiform papillae density. And I'm going to scroll and highlight everything that says HD. Once I've selected all of it, I'm going to end the parentheses and hit enter. And now I'm going to do the same thing with heterozygous. So I'm going to say equals average. And now I'm going to go back and look at anything that has HT associated with it, because that would be your heterozygous. And I'm going to drag all the numbers that are associated with HT. I'm going to end the parentheses, so I typed parentheses up here, and then hit enter. I'm going to do the last thing, equals average, double click, and now I'm going to go to homozygous recessive just by scrolling down, and I'm going to go ahead and select all the ones that are associated with HR. I'm going to go back up, close out the parentheses, and hit enter. So now I have the averages for all of them. So I'm trying to see if there is a difference in the amount of taste buds and if that's associated with your genotype. So I'm going to be looking into how to calculate the standard error of the mean. But in order to calculate standard error of the mean, which is this box right here, I'm going to first have to calculate standard deviation. And that's because standard error of the mean, and I'll write this here, is equals standard deviation S divided by the square root of n. And so that's why I will have to go ahead and calculate that out. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that, but that's why we need to utilize standard deviation. So in order, Excel will actually calculate this for us, so that's really nice. So I'm going to put equals because I'm asking Excel to do math for me, and put STDEV. When you do that, you'll have two options. You'll have stdev.p and stdev.s. So P stands for population, S stands for sample. So just because, since we do not have all the students in Apopka High School, we only have a sample of them, we're going to use stdev.s. So I'm going to double click on that. And then I'm going to do the same approach as the average, where I'm only going to be selecting numbers associated with homozygous dominant. And then I'm going to scroll back up and I'm going to end the parentheses. I'm going to do the same thing here. So stdev.s. Double click on that, and now I'm going to scroll down to my heterozygous and only select the ones associated with heterozygous. Scroll back up, and the parentheses, it went ahead and calculated it for me. So I'm going to go to equals stdev.s, double click on that. I almost forgot to do it. And then I'm going to do the same thing now for homozygous recessive, which is my HR. I'm going to end the parentheses, hit enter. And so then now this is my total for my standard deviation. I'm going to utilize this value for my standard error, the mean column. So this isn't, the standard deviation column isn't necessarily going on the graph, but it's used now we can calculate standard error, the mean. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is that we're going to hit equals 2. The reason we do 2 times is because in AP Bio we want a 95% confidence interval. And remember, if it was just SEM instead of 2 SEM, if it was just SEM, that means we would be doing a 68%, but we want a 95%. So here I'm going to be putting in equals 2 times parentheses, and then I'm going to select my standard deviation divided by, and it's the square root of n. So SQRT. So I'm going to double click the SQRT. And now I'm going to square root the total amount of entries that I have for the sample set, which is 66. So I selected the 66 here. And then I'm going to end my parentheses. I'm going to do the same thing in this. So I'm going to put equals 2 asterisk, which that's from the Shift 8 button, parentheses, going to select the standard deviation, divided by square root, double click on that, of n. Last but not least, equals 2 times parentheses, standard deviation divided by SQRT, and then select this. And then make sure you end your parentheses. And so this would be my standard error of the mean. So now what I can do with this is that I can go ahead and make my graph. So how I'm going to make my graph is I'm going to first highlight the titles in the F column, or my independent variables, and then I'm going to hold down the control key. So I'm holding down the control key, and while I'm holding that down, I'm going to select the second column that I want to highlight, and then I can release the control key. So once I do that, then I can go to the Insert tab right here, and I can insert my graph. And for this, we're going to be utilizing a bar graph, and this is the appropriate bar graph that we'll be utilizing. So for you guys, things to notate is that this is not the correct title of your graph, so you guys are going to have to erase this. So you can erase it, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys to title your graphs. So you need to insert graph title, and then you're going to have to add the axis titles as well. So in order to do that, you're going to go to add chart element, and then if you go to axis title and select primary, horizontal primary, it will add this one. If you click on that again and you go to axis title and do vertical, it will do this one as well. So you just have to click on this and edit the names as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do something that you guys might not be familiar with, and this is where we're going to take these standard error, the means that we calculated, and we're going to physically put it on the graph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to select my chart. If this doesn't come up, you can go to Chart Tools, and then make sure Design is highlighted. And then you can go back to this Add Chart Element, and you can go to Error Bars. You'll scroll down to more error bar options and go to Custom. Once you do that, you're going to go to Specify Value. Mind you, just now you guys are aware, this could pop up, this could pop up, or this could pop up. For error bars, you're going to want this button that says Error Bar Options. So I'm going to go to Custom, and now I'm going to specify the value. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to erase all the contents from the error bar information. And so now I'm going to go here and I'm going to select this. And then I'm going to do the same thing in the negative and then hit OK. So now my custom error bars are on top of my graph. And I can see them right here. If this makes it a little bit easier for you guys, you can change the area. I'm not saying that you have to do this, but I did this in some of my classes. Now they could see the error bars a little bit better. So make sure that you change your guys' titles. Now it's correct. So you need this, this, and this altered. But at least now you know how to add it, just in case if you've forgotten from the last time that we've done a lab report. So this is the information on how to make a graph 1 out of 3 for the SuperTaster lab. This is Ms. Gruman, and thank you for listening.